I think you're wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
How is Buffalo treating you? We doing okay?
For a buffalo?
For Buffalo, she says?
I think it's super duper.
Fantastic. So, you have had an incredible career.
You could say that.
It's been a long run, huh?
It's been a wonderful run. I remember from, thank you, darling. I remember from my childhood when I always knew I was going to do this and go places and find friends and talk with them, and here we are.
Here we are. This is exciting for me because obviously one of my childhood heroes.
Yes.
I'm still upset that Starship Captain is not a job that I can apply for. I'm still a little bitter about that. In 1970, it seemed like a good bit, right?
Yes, indeed it was.
So you didn't start as an actress. You didn't start as an actress. You started as a dancer and a singer.
I was a ballerina.
Ballerina.
Yeah, and I just knew that was going to be my life. And in between, you know, when you're not doing it immediately, you do something in between that carries you over to the next time that you're doing what you want to do. So I got to the place where I was just going to do what I wanted to do. I got all kinds of offers, except what I wanted. But I, which is this. But I fulfilled them, and the next thing I know, a gentleman that was one of the top producers came to me and said, "Why aren't you doing such and such?" And I said, "Such and such wasn't there for me. I'm doing this now." He said, "Well, there are thousands of people who would love to see you and blah, 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 and you've been on this show on television and blah, blah, blah." And he says, "What do you really want to do?" And I said, "Theater." His face dropped. He said, "Theater? Television is where you want to be." No, I said, television is where I'm doing a lot of stuff, but I really like the theater. And he said, "Well, I tell you what, I know a producer who would just love to have you in his show. And if he doesn't, I don't know what I'll do to him, because I'm his boss." And so the next thing you know, I'm going to meet the producer, and so when the producer's all excited and so forth, and I got a job in television. Been there ever since. Instead. So it's been a rocky ride and fun.
So what did you think when in the early 1960s when they said, "We want you to be in this show about a spaceship"?
I said, "Where is it going?" And they said, "Everywhere." And I said, "Where is that?" "Wherever you want to go." And I said, "Let's go."
So, mid-1960s, Hollywood, and you are a minority. Tell us a little bit about what that was like.
I'm a what?
That a girl. You're a black woman in Hollywood in the 1960s.
Oh, did he say minority?
I did say minority. She's putting down her glass. I'm in trouble now.
There are no minorities. There's no such thing as a minority.
Thank you for correcting me.
And you are as large as you want to be.
Yeah.
You just apply yourself. The people are out there that love you. They don't know it yet, but they, you get there and they, wow, I've been waiting to see you for a long time, and I've been there ever since. Thank you.
So
It's beautiful.
So you got 3 years out of the original show.
Out of what?
Out of the original series, 3 years of episodes, and then what was it like when the show was canceled? What was the feelings in the group?
I think in this business, you always know there's going to be an end, and you go on to something else. So I always was of the opinion you do the best you can in this marvelous way that they put you where you've been put and being seen, and you do the best work that you're capable of doing, and something happens like that. And so I was very young at the time, and I didn't know that doesn't work like that. And so I just expected, and guess what? It worked like that. The next thing I knew, I was doing all kinds of TV things, and the next thing I knew, what is it, Star Trek? Something called Star Trek. And it's just been wonderful ever since.
After the show was canceled, you went on to do some work with NASA.
Yes.
So tell us about that, because that is some cool stuff.
I was at an open end, and so that had ended, and Star Trek, what did you ask me?
NASA.
Oh.
You working with NASA?
I just sort of took off because it felt so good to be able to not be out of work, but to be off from work. And someone came to me, and I did what I didn't know, that NASA was filled with Star Trek fans. And they asked me to come and speak, and I thought, at NASA? And I say, I play a person like that. I'm not one of them. And I walked in, and there was as many people there as there are now, and I walked in, and they all stood up and started clapping and saying, hailing frequencies open. And I had the time of my life. And it's just been moving beautifully ever since. And here I am before all these beautiful people.
They are beautiful
and
people.
I love you too.
Now, did I read someplace that you actually went through some astronaut training as part of that?
Yes, I did. And I went through some astronaut training because they had decided that I was the person to go out and find astronauts, that people who were qualified but thought they couldn't do it, and so I went on talking
Like a tour.
before audiences that every time I was in an audience, I talked to them about what it means to and where we're going and what it means to be qualified. And if you have a young person, you ought to, and they're interested because they're really interested, make sure that they get a teaching in that. And so the next thing I knew, I was going all over the country talking about, about how young people should prepare to be astronauts, to go, because we're going to go to the moon and we're going to do this. And young people are, you know, they're not like we are. Yeah, right. You know, they're like, yeah, and I want to go, so I talked to a lot of parents with kids, and who said, how do we go about that? So I just started talking, you know, train forward, look this way, get that done, and never look back. Only look forward. We're going to the moon. We're going into outer space. Your child can be the child that actually leads us there. And parents started going, yeah, my kid is always talking about, you know, and the next thing I know, I'm being invited to talk to parents, to children, to strangers, but I'm being able to talk on behalf of NASA what their aim was. And the first thing they did was have me come and talk to NASA. and that was quite, you know, they were nervous in the audience about my coming and talking to them. I almost didn't get on the stage, you know. They think they were nervous. I was nervous, so the first thing I did was say, I know you're all nervous. And they looked at each other like, how'd she know that? and it grew from there. It grew from there. And the next thing I knew, there was something called Star Trek.
You got a second chance with Star Trek. After the TV series, you got to move into 6 feature-length films. Was it different? Was it different filming the feature-length films over the TV stuff?
It's different, but at the same time, it's the same. You're performing, you're acting, you're bringing to this job, because acting is a job, and you're bringing to it what everybody is thinking about, and they're sitting out there, and you come out there talking, you know, trash, and they look at each other and go, but if you talk about what they're interested in, they go, you know, and so I like the yeah. So I talked what they were interested in, and I learned a lot. So that was wonderful.
How about some questions? We take some questions from the audience? Who's got a question?
Very cool. Hi, I just wanted to say, first of all, thank you for making science cool for girls. When I was little, I watched it with my dad, and he was like, you should do that one day. So I had a question. I know that you did ballet and theater, so was it your idea to bring Uhura to have a musical ability, or was that like the director was like, wow, I know you can do this? So did you ask to sing, or did they say, we love how you sing, please sing on the show?
Oh, I've been singing since I was about 9 months. As far as and I'm joking, but close to that. I always loved singing, and I found out that I could dance. So my folks gave me ballet to just have something to do, to keep me in that range.
Well, that worked out okay, didn't it?
Yeah.
So the question was, did you bring the dance and the singing to Lieutenant Uhura, or did the producers of the show say, we want you to do that? Was it your idea or theirs?
Oh, I took ballet from a very young child. So I was a ballerina by the time I was a professional quality ballet dancer by the time I was 12, and I just kept going because I loved it the most. But then I found out I had a 3.5 octave range singing because I was always around the house going, doing my thing. And my mother going, shut up, my father going, sing. And she says, sing while you wipe the dishes. I had fun parents. I really, really did. And I never regretted one step that I took that got me where I am now.
Thank you so much.
Still don't.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
First of all, I wanted to thank you for all the contributions you've made over the course of your lifetime, not only to pop culture, but to society as it is. I see so many people wearing this uniform now, and we all look so different. And I know that's partially because of your determination and your endurance in a time that people didn't want to see you endure. But my question for you is, you get so many questions about your involvement with NASA and your career as an actor, your dancing, your singing, and everything else. What do you want to be remembered for?
All of the above.
Thank you.
I recruited the first women and minorities on behalf of the government that put me on the contract, and I recruited the first women and minorities who became astronauts.
Thank you so much.
Hello. For one, I just want to say thank you for being just helping society grow, like she was saying, and being nice to all people. And let's see. By the way, you remind me so much of my Nana.
I'm delighted. Thank you very much.
My question is, well, my favorite episode is the Tribble episode.
Oh, yes. And the trouble with them.
Yes! What was your favorite thing behind the scenes, not during production of the episodes?
Being behind the scene. Let me see. Behind the scenes, I did a lot of things. I helped, especially with young women and children, and people, African Americans, thought there was no place for us.
Oh, there's lots of places.
That's the price you pay. And everywhere I went, I spoke about this. And people would come up to me and say, you don't really believe that, do you? And it hit me that I think I did think it's never going to happen. But then I got really angry with myself and said, you can't do that. You've got to let everybody know that it can happen because this country belongs to us.
Amen!
Thank you for that.
Hi, I want to let you know that I consider you as someone who has broken barriers in acting and in theater. And I was wondering if you have any advice on breaking barriers. I am a transgender actor, and I'm struggling to deal with producers and writers and directors that are not transgender and are trying to bring a realistic experience to the stage and asking for advice, but not wanting to hear it because they want it to be their way. And I know that you have broken so many barriers in being a first on stage, and I was wondering if you had any advice.
Keep on keeping on. Do not lie that you can't. Whatever you want to be, you study it, you do it, you become the best that you can be, and keep on keeping on. And somebody is going to see you and say, that's exactly who I need. And you start moving on and moving on. And always remember where you came from and how you got where you are and how you're going to get to where you want to go. Never give up. Never. Ever.
Thank you.
I was just wondering if you've seen the new Star Trek movies that have come out and how you like your character that's being portrayed now with Zoe Saldana.
He said, have you seen the new movies, and how do you feel about the character of Lieutenant Uhura as played by Zoe Saldana?
Zoe came to me. She got my number. She called me, and she said, my name is Zoe Saldana. You probably don't know me, but... And I said, I know you. I said, do you know who you are? and do you know where you're going? And we became friends. She was scared to call me, and somebody pushed her, and she was afraid to talk, when she got me on the phone. Well, I just started talking to her like she was my kid sister or someone from my audience. And don't give up. You want to do that, you keep going. They can't stop you. You're going to become that, and never forget it. Don't go in there thinking, well, I'm never going to get it, but I'll go try. No, you go and show them. Don't try.
You both did a great job.
Yeah. Thank you.
Zoe Saldana and I have something in common. I was afraid to talk to you too. Yes, sir.
I read somewhere that Martin Luther King had helped influence your decision on sticking with your role on Star Trek. First of all, is that true? And do you have anything else you'd like to add?
What legacy is
There is a story out there that you were thinking of quitting the show, and you had a conversation with Dr. King.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us that story.
You won't give up if you talk to Martin Luther King. You just don't give up. You go out and you do it knowing that you're going to get there, you're just on your way, and you have that attitude in everything you do, We go to sleep at night. We don't go to sleep and go to sleep. You go to sleep because you need your sleep and you're going to wake up in the morning. That was a good sleep. Not like, and I slept. You stay on your side, because there's enough people against you anyway out there. So you stay on your side, and you'll be amazed at how many people suddenly you're on your side too, because you're all going the same place. If you're going to succeed, you're going to succeed. You're going to succeed. You're going to succeed. The minute you say that to yourself, you have succeeded. The first, what's the word?
Obstacle.
I love it, because everybody's got one.
Everybody's got a different word.
You're going to succeed.
That guy right there, his first word was
there.
cheeseburger.
Yeah.
First cheeseburger.
I love it. That's my cheeseburger.
Thank you, sir. Did that answer your question?
Thank you. I love you, darling.
I just wanted to ask you, how were you able to get on the job?
How were you able to get the job?
To be in the Star Trek show.
So how did you get the job in the Star Trek show?
They had no choice. Someone told, I don't even remember, but I remember getting it and being a little nervous about it, you know, and then deciding, why am I nervous about being Uhura? I am Uhura. You know, I even named her.
Well, that's something I didn't know. You named the character. That's fantastic. Thank you, Heidi.
It came from there's a language that from Uhuru.
Swahili? The Swahili language?
Yes, Swahili.
You got a lot of fans out there.
Yeah.
They know right down all the
I'm
characters.
the one that's going around talking about Swahili. Hi there.
Hi, it's an honor to meet you, by the way. My question is, you've been interviewed for years and years. Is there any question that you wish that you had been asked but nobody ever did?
There are about 5,492. I keep working on every last one of them. Last year was 4,990. So you just keep working on everything that you know you need to know or want to know about, and you find out that when you learn about it, it was not simple. It was kind of cool.
Yeah.
It wasn't hard.
Thank you.
Okay, once you know it, once you find out what you're what you think you don't know, and once you know something, it does not go away from you. It stays right there. It's yours. You take it, use it, and do what you gotta do. Yes, darling.
What was it like on the first day of the job, and what was it like, how did you feel about being a background character? Like, someone that...
What was it like your first day on the job?
And first day on the job was a bugger. It was good. But what was the second
The
one?
second part was, how did it feel to be a background character?
I wasn't a background character. I never was a background character. Number one, Uhura had all the answers. You know, she knew where to get the answers. They came to her to find out what they didn't know.
Kept those guys in check.
Go ahead.
I know, but in most of the missions, there was only Kirk, McCoy, and Spock. So, you mostly see those three guys.
What?
She said in most of the away missions and stuff, it was just Captain Kirk and Dr. McCoy and Mr. Spock.
Yeah, we sent them out there.
Good afternoon, lovely lady. Thank you for coming to Buffalo.
Oh, thank you so much.
I grew up with Star Trek. Yes, I was there the first night in 1966. I raised my children as a single mom with the Star Trek reruns and then the movies. I want to thank you for your very strong, positive portrayal of a smart, courageous, beautiful woman in the series, because I now have a very smart, courageous, beautiful woman in my life, my daughter, single, working mom, who looks up to you and thanks you for being the example that Uhura was. Thank you so much.
God bless you and thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
So I've been friends with Doug Davidson and his wife, you know, Paul Williams from The Young and the Restless, for about 30 years. And about 22-ish years ago, when you were in Buffalo with George and Walter and Jimmy on stage, had an opportunity to talk with you. You told me you were a lifelong fan of The Young and the Restless. So the next day, I came back to the convention and brought you a big coffee table book on the history of The Young and the Restless. And now, all these years, being a huge fan, and you finally got to be on The Young and the Restless to play Neil Winter's dying mom. What was that experience like?
It's like a kid who always wanted to do something and then finally they're doing and they say, that wasn't so hard. and you really love it because you stuck with going after what you wanted to do or talk to people about what you wanted to do or become or whatever, and suddenly you are that. And there's a little kid or somebody or a friend or one who's, boy, if he can do it, I can do it. Of course you can. If you really want to, you do the same thing that I did, that he did, that she did. You go and find out what it takes, and you do it. You don't sit back and say, I wonder what I could do that. They must have a lot to learn. They must do that.
I'm only sorry they killed you off after a couple of episodes because you were playing a wonderful role.
Thank you so much. Yes, sir.
Thank you for spending your time here. I feel honored to being able to meet you twice now. I saw you last year at RockCon. My question is with the way the world is going right now, with us consuming the earth and destroying the planet and overpopulation, what is your take on the need and urgency of interstellar space travel and reaching out to the stars?
What's your take on our need to get to the stars because we're using up our planet?
The stars are going to be there for the next gazillion while we're still looking up at them. And we're not the only ones. Do you know what the stars are there for?
Well, basically I'm asking was like, what's the urgency?
For you to wish on. For you to find your place on. You take a star out there and you make that star yours, and that means you know darn well what that star's telling you. Study, find out more, go become it, do what it takes to get there, and don't stop until you get here. How do you think I got it? You know, that's what the stars say. How do you think I got up here shining? Come on, you guys.
So,
come on, kids.
Do you feel, his question, do you feel like it's urgent that we get to the stars soon because our planet's being used up?
Maybe, but maybe not. it's how we look at it. Who are the professionals who are out there telling us what's happening? That's what we depend on them for. And then you prepare for whatever it takes to wish on that star. And that star comes down to you, invite it in, because that's where you're going. You go where you dream and where you worked hard going. Ballerinas don't get on point by wishing. They get on point by wishing and doing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Enjoy your day.
Thank you.
We got time for 2 more questions.
My question was originally already answered because I was going to ask you about Martin Luther King, since you had the first interracial kiss in TV history. And I was very impressed by that. And I grew up watching Star Trek, and I raised my children with the belief that they could be anything they wanted to be because my role models were anything they wanted to be, and I never limited my imagination. So I guess my question now is, how did you handle being a role model? I mean, you went from being a TV actress to actually talking to NASA. That's real stuff. How do you make that transition?
The answer came when I was a child. I could go to my mother or my father and make an appointment. I realized that I would make an appointment with them, which means they couldn't say to me, oh, well, I'll talk to you about that later, you know. So I said, Tuesday at 3 o'clock, tomorrow at 1, I'd get an appointment. And fortunately, my parents, or whomever in my family, knew they were caught because they had said they'd make an appointment and they wouldn't lie. You know, they said, we have an appointment, and I would say, oh, remember we have an appointment at 2 tomorrow? And they, yes, I remember. And 2 o'clock tomorrow, there I was and there they were, because they knew I wasn't just playing or gonna ask them stupid questions. I asked them some questions. Sometimes they told me that they had to go and find some answers too in order to get to provide me with an avenue. And we call them avenues because it's not just my avenue to you, it's right here. You know, so to you is right there. Oh, you back there, I'll be back there in the avenue, you know. And they never, if they had to postpone it, they came to me. Or they said, I have to postpone it till tomorrow afternoon at 4. I'd be there 5 minutes to 4. And they knew, and I didn't come with stupid questions. You know, I knew that, not to take up their precious time, because my time is precious too.
So your parents were your role models. They taught you how to be a role model.
They were my role models. Yes, my parents were my role models, and where they didn't know something, they say, I'm not quite sure, but if this was Tuesday, come to me on Thursday. Come to me tomorrow and I'll see. And they didn't say, let me think. You know, they said, I'll look it up. I'll find out. And that's how I learned to go and look in the library, look in the calendar, look in the,
Okay.
yes, look it up.
We have time for one more question.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you for
I
your
can't believe I'm
question.
talking to you. I'm gonna cry. I have loved you my whole life, and as an educator, I am a teacher, and I just appreciate the fact that you have made STEM so cool for girls, which is science, technology, engineering, and math. And it's a cool thing. I had to become a teacher because I wasn't allowed to become an architect because my father said I had to go do something more feminine. And now I get to teach robotics to kids, and I get to teach science to girls particularly. So thank you for that. That was a huge thing for our country. Two quick questions. One, are you good at science and math?
Are you good at science and math?
That's a no.
That would be my answer too.
I am good at finding out what I have to do to find out.
That's the best answer I heard to that question.
And then my second question was, what was your first thought when you found out you were going to have to kiss William Shatner?
That I was going to, oh, William Shatner?
Yeah, what was your first thought when you find out you had to kiss William Shatner?
I said, he'll find out he has to kiss me.
Would it be possible for me to shake your hand? Would it be possible for me to shake your hand? No? Okay, cool. Thank you so much for being so awesome. Thank you.
Well, that's all we got. So thank you very much to all of you. Some great questions. Thank you. A big round of applause for Nichelle Nichols.
Very much. Thank you so much.
He thinks he's safe. Doesn't think we know his patterns, his vulnerabilities. We know where his girlfriend lives and how to get at his sidekick. He's faced one clown before, but soon he'll face the clown syndicate. There's more than one way to peel a potato.
Dude, what the f?
Oh my eye.